hours after Dragon Ball creator's death made public, Sweet Baby Inc. writer attempts to shame Akira Toriyama over Mr. Popo's design. Yeah, I called this about a mile away. Greetings once again, my friends, and welcome back to the GNRO Minicast. I am your host, Adam Mickelson, aka Drak. I hope everybody's having an awesome day or night when you're listening to this. And once again, we are taking on another story from boundingintocomics.com with Spencer McCooley as the author. Let's get right into it. Actually, before we get right into it, I would encourage everybody that watches this video to go down into the comments and give a positive message towards the GOAT himself, Akira Toriyama, for his passing. I know this is coming out quite a bit after his passing, but I did want to actually still cover the story. And frankly, we as Dragon Ball fans can make a negative into a positive, and so I would like to be able to do that in the comments section. Leave your best moments in Dragon Ball, leave your best memories of Akira Toriyama. I would encourage that strongly in order to override the amount of negative that we're going to have to read right now. It seems that in addition to diversity and inclusion, Sweet Baby Inc. also includes never letting a tragedy go to waste among their core values, especially when the body isn't even cold. As just hours after the tragic passing of Dragon Ball creator Akira Toriyama was made public, company writer Chris Kindred attempted to grandstand on his grave. Oh no, he didn't grandstand on it. He tried to drop trow and, much like Amber Heard, drop a big fat turd on his grave by raising the tired and absolutely false argument that the mangaka's design of series mainstay Mr. Popo was nothing but a racist caricature of black people. Bitch, please. Even the Dragon Ball Z abridged people who made fun of it as well that way know the origin. That's how dumb this is, Chris Kindred, but it's okay. While you tried to have some clout at Akira Toriyama's expense, I'm gonna have fun laughing at you at your expense. So let's get to it. As announced by the Dragon Quest co-creators Own Bird Studio and the independent company currently responsible for the Dragon Ball IP, Capsule Corp Tokyo, on March 7th, the esteemed mangaka passed away roughly a week at the age of 68. That is tragically way too young for him. His reported cause of death being an acute subdural hematoma, in layman's terms, a pooling of blood in his brain, which is just, it's really sad, and it's one of those things that unfortunately can't really be avoided in the line of work that Toriyama was in. And I kind of wish that as he was an example in life, so must he be an example in death, by looking at the anime industry and the amount of stress associated with it, even in the amount of stress associated with Japanese culture in general, and maybe start lightening up on that. You don't need a 16 to 20 hour workday, is all I'm saying. It's our deep regret that he still had several works in the middle of creation with great enthusiasm. That's the sad part. He had stuff he was still working on. In fact, they had just barely announced Dragon Ball Daima. I don't know if that's gonna go through. One of the rumors is that he was going to continue Dragon Ball Super, the anime. I don't know if that's going to go through, but I guess we'll find out in the months to come. Redbird Studio and Capsule Corp Tokyo's message confirming the tragic news. Also, he would have many more things to achieve. However, he has left many manga titles and works of art to this world. Thanks to the support of so many people around the world, he has been able to continue his creative activities for 45 years. And I'm going to go into my personal thoughts on Akira Toriyama at the end of this article after we're done having fun at Chris Kindred's expense. The morning after this announcement caused heartbreak across the globe. Kindred, who is perhaps best known for having been the first individual involved in the ongoing discourse surrounding his company to call for direct action against an ideological opponent in the form of a false reporting campaign directed towards the administrator of the Sweet Baby Inc. Detected Steam curator list, who took to Twitter not to offer his condolences, but rather set up a racially charged soapbox on the mangaka's grave. Yeah, that's pretty much what he did. Toriyama gave us the best and worst black characters in the anime in the same series. The best and worst black characters in anime in the same series, wrote the Sweet Baby Inc. company writer. It took range to do that. Yeah, you're a bastard for doing that, by the way. I wish that there was a fouler word that I could call you, but frankly, since you don't even know your identity, I can't even identify an insult for you. So here's an idea. You're nothing. You're absolutely nothing. you're a nothing burger. Which is appropriate because Sweet Baby Inc. as well. Funniest thing. While Kindred did not specific who among Dragon Ball's extensive cast he considered to be the best and worst black characters in anime, you're just jealous because Popo did it better. And by that, I mean a better black person. And he wasn't even a black person. In light of the years of debate surrounding his design, it's more than likely that the character who drew the latter label was none other than Mr. Popo. And yeah, I love the fact that the first thing that woke sons of bitches like Chris Kindred will do, and that's an insult to your parents because I'm pretty sure your parents are a nicer person than you are. I've always seen this low-hanging fruit with Dragon Ball, and it's absolutely stupid, especially when you know the inspiration, which we're gonna get into in this article for Mr. Popo, and it actually does make sense. But even when Dragon Ball Z Abridged hit that low-hanging fruit, at least they hit it with some taste, all right? They just basically made him a Cthulian terror, and I was totally on board with that. But what Chris Kindred's trying to do is no better than what Mars Girl tried to do while trying to slam Vic Mignogna. Oh, and by the way, Mars Girl, how's that career of yours going? Bad? Okay. Oh, you're still looking for somebody to buy you a new couch? Okay. Have fun with that. Introduced in the 163rd issue of the Dragon Ball manga, Mr. Popo is a resident of the other world who was assigned to serve as an attendant to all of Earth's various guardians such as Kami and Dende. Upon his first encounter with Goku, Mr. Popo is seen to be an extremely skilled martial artist, being able to shrug off and evade with ease the very same attacks the young warrior previously used to put an end to the Demon King Piccolo. After Goku proves his worth as a warrior by ascending to the top of Kami's lookout, Mr. Popo spends the next 3 years helping him train and improve his skills in service of killing Piccolo's son, Piccolo Jr., at the then upcoming World Martial Arts Tournament. Which, again, the introduction of Popo was actually pretty freaking cool. I kind of wish that they had found other things for Popo to do, considering that he was part of the other world, but this is ultimately what they did. Unfortunately for Mr. Popo, like most characters in Dragon Ball who aren't named Goku or Vegeta, as time progressed, the Eternal Attendant saw a severe reduction in his role in the series, so much so that by the Z part of Toriyama's seminal work, he was relegated to nothing more than an occasional background character, though he does get one last moment to shine in the Buu Saga when he introduces Trunks and Goten to the concept of the fusion dance. And in the anime, he can even be seen holding his own against the Super Saiyan-powered Goten and Trunks, which I actually did like when they did that, at least in the Buu Saga. As readers may have surmised at this point, thanks to his design, Mr. Popo has often drawn accusations of racism from Western audiences. So much so that they've even tried to edit him. It didn't really work out, with most criticisms drawing parallels between his dark-skinned, thick-lipped appearance and the racist blackface depictions of black people seen through the 18th and 19th century entertainment. However, in a twist of irony, despite those who raise this comparison doing so out of a purported desire to combat racism, which they don't really want to combat racism, they just want to be the ones holding the whip. Their entire argument hinges on ignoring Asian culture in favor of a Western-centric narrative. Funniest thing. Case in point, Mr. Popo's design is not based on American-specific racist iconography. It is not. Rather, it is inspired by the deity Mahakala, I believe. Mahakala? I believe I'm saying that right. A deity in the Buddhist and Hindu religions whose regular depiction with jet black skin, a giant red mouth, and a propensity for turban-based hairwear all serve to help reinforce his image as a fierce protector. As such, not only is Mr. Popo's design not a racist caricature, he is also in no way, shape, or form meant to represent a black-skinned individual. He is meant to be a god or a demigod, and gods and demigods are powerful enough that they do not have to answer to those characteristics if they don't wish to. To this end, one must ask the question, if a writer can't be bothered to actually research and engage with other cultures, instead choosing to force their own specific worldview onto them, or read the numerous amount of Toriyama interviews and also other Dragon Ball rep interviews that have answered that question over the years, can they truly claim to be a proponent of diversity and inclusion? That's a nice question, Spencer Bakuli. Can they actually say that? No. Like I've said for many years, this isn't about racism. This isn't about being a white knight in shining armor coming to the oppressed masses. You just want to be the one that holds the whip so that you in turn can have your turn whipping people. That's the only purpose of anybody who's involved in this diversity, equity, and inclusion movement, is that they don't want to stop the oppression. They just want to turn the oppression around on other people. Thus, the cycle continues, and we have learned nothing in the process. Of course not, but that clearly won't stop Sweet Baby Inc. from continuing to turn their noses up at those who actually do. And by the way, in response to this, you'll be equally unsurprised that as soon as the Dragon Ball community came down on this turd, this nothing burger, they immediately went into protected mode on Twitter, and we haven't heard anything from them, at least to my knowledge. But I have a feeling that if they did come out of protected mode and privated mode, that the Dragon Ball community would continue to hurl numerous giant cow pies, or I'm sorry, T-Rex sized cow pies at Chris Kindred, and it would be equally entertaining to watch. So yeah, my thoughts on this guy is Chris Kindred, you are a nothing burger, and I cannot wait for you to fall into obscurity. Absolutely. Because I know for a fact that all that's going to happen right now is basically what happened with Anita. You're going to go underground, and then you're going to still be working in the gaming industry and all the kinds of media industries to try and enforce your narrative. And frankly, you shouldn't be able to have a job in that. I would actually love for people who know who you are and know what you have done to report you to HR for all of the numerous infractions upon diversity, equity, and inclusion that you have perpetrated upon them. So at that point, you can rot in hell, as far as I'm concerned. But like I said, I didn't want to end this on a nothing burger note, as it were. I did want to also end this on my final thoughts and my send-off to Akira Toriyama, who, in my opinion, is probably one of the better manga artists that has been able to come out of the anime revolution. And when I say anime revolution, I mean, you know, being able to inspire artists throughout the world with his designs. As a gamer as well as a anime consumer, he has been a big part of my life, whether it be through the numerous Dragon Ball Z dubs that I watched, or being able to play through Chrono Trigger for the 30th time. I will forever always appreciate Akira Toriyama for the art that he brought, and also for the positive message that he left as a geek, because he actually was a geek, and a lot of people don't necessarily know this. In fact, one of the things I loved when he passed is a picture went around of him enjoying, I believe it was the first Dragon Quest on Famicom with his newborn son, I believe. And that just immediately brought a tear to my eye, because this guy loved what he worked on. He loved being a geek. He loved fandom. And more importantly, he loved each and every one of us as Dragon Ball fans and supporters. And I truly do believe that he is in a better place now, and he is earning very much the fruits of his labor. The only thing I feel bad about is that separation from a parent and from a spouse or a loved one is a difficult thing. And so my thoughts and prayers obviously go out to the family of Akira Toriyama, but I also am heartened in the fact that he finally gets to join Goku in the other world and be able to get a very much deserved rest. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this video. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. If you would like to leave a comment on the story itself, I would please encourage you, leave the comments based towards positive messages towards Akira Toriyama, because that's what I want people to take from this. Not the person who tried to crap on his grave. He doesn't deserve, or I'm sorry, it doesn't deserve our attention. Akira does, for all of the things that he did for us, both as children, as adults, as teenagers, all of that. He deserves that more than anybody else. And so leave your comments that way. If you liked what you heard, leave a like on the video. I appreciate that. And also consider subscribing so that YouTube can understand that the algorithm can also work for people like me, because I would appreciate that as well. And of course, I will see you guys next time for the next GNRO Minicast. Take care. Except you, Chris Kindred, you can rot in hell.